Okay. So tonight we welcome Dr. Elyze Zomer from the University of Tübingen. She's an archaeologist and she received her PhD in 2017 from Leipzig University and the Venia Legendi di Abilitazione in 2024 from the University of Marburg. Her researches focus on Sumerian and Akkadian incantations. She published several monographs on the subject, especially critical editions on corpuses of incantation. And in 2024, she prepares for publication Oneirocritica Mesopotamica, a critical study of the series Zaqīqu and other dream omens in the context of Mesopotamian dream interpretation that will be submitted in the AMD series. And she published last year a collective volume together with Neil Cecil on the topic of legitimizing magic, strategies and practices in ancient Mesopotamia, also in the AMD series from of Brill. So tonight, her paper will be on the Mesopotamian dream reality and its interpretation. Thank you very much, Elyze, for being with us and sharing with us your researches. And the floor is yours.
So, good evening, everybody. Thanks again. I would like to thank Anne-Caroline and Jacob for inviting me to this platform, and I'm very honored to present in this lecture series. As said, I will present my research on the Mesopotamian dream omens, and today I will talk about the Mesopotamian dream reality and its interpretation. A few words in advance. I only have limited time to talk, and if I touch upon something, if I do not touch upon something extensively, and you have further questions, please feel free to ask in the Q&A or send me an email. So let's start. I always like to start a presentation with a famous quote or saying, and today I would like to start with. I have to say if it's working. It doesn't. Ah, here. I had a dream. This may sound familiar, but this is not Martin Luther King speaking. This is actually Gilgamesh in Tablet 4. So I had a dream, and the dream that I saw was completely and utterly confusing. And this is a very human emotion that we still have regarding dreams. Dreams are volatile. They can shock us. They're very personal. And we're always intrigued by dreams. And one of the earliest references in human history regarding dreams, we actually find in the Lugalbanda epic. Here we find a dream. A door cannot hold it back, nor can a doorpost. To the liar it speaks lies, to the truthful the truth. It can make one happy or make one cry. And this is a certain ambivalence regarding dreams that the ancient Mesopotamians already have. And at the very end of this presentation, I will return to this slide and discuss with you this ambivalence which we may have encountered during this presentation. So what can you expect of me today? First, I will give you an overview. I will start with an introduction on the Mesopotamian dream omens, starting with a typology of dreams, and specifically the genre of Mesopotamian dream omens themselves. Then we will continue on the Mesopotamian dream reality, where we will take a look at the protagonists, the dimensions, and the aspects of alternative reality. Then we will continue to the concept of so-called Mesopotamian Dreambooks. Here I will give you a short overview and will explain the explanatory strategies, the organizational principles, and last but not least, of course, the series Zaqīqu in more depth. Then we continue with the Mesopotamian dream interpretation and take a look at the specialists, the cooperation with other professions and their clients. Thereafter, we take an outlook at the dream omens and other textual genres. And here we'll make a differentiation of the different types of symbolic dreams, and take a look at literary texts, royal inscriptions, daily life texts, and incantations, rituals, and recipes. Finally, as always, there will be some concluding remarks, and here I will take a short outlook to other oneirocritic traditions in antiquity and the takeaway of this presentation. So let's start with the introduction. The typology of dreams in the ancient Near East. There are two types of dreams, basically. There's the message dream and the symbolic dream. The message dream appears in an unusual situation. It is conveyed by a deity, and it contains an unquestionable, clear message. It therefore needs no interpretation and no dream interpreter. The symbolic dream, on the other hand, is an individual and random dream experience. It can have different actors like gods, people, animals, stars, objects, etc. And the message, as it's already suggested, is symbolic and unclear at first. It yields a strong, mostly negative emotional response, and therefore interpretation by dream interpreters or a dream interpreter is necessary. So we will, of course, focus on this last group. Where do we find symbolic dreams? First of all, we find them in literary texts, in letters, in royal inscriptions, in incantations, rituals, and therapies, and of course in dream omens. And this whole presentation starts with the perspective from dream omens. So what are they, dream omens? How do we identify them? Ideally, we find this phrase in Akkadian, Shuma amilu ina shutishu, if a man in his dream. For example, the following omen, Shuma amilu ina shutishu kaspam labish, if a man in his dream is clad in silver. That is pretty straightforward. The setting in the dream is already there in Akkadian, and it's called ina shutishu, in his dream. But this phrase is actually usually omitted in Akkadian in the dream omens. This can result in omens like this, like Shuma amilu mushashu unashak, if a man kisses his own penis. And we only know from further context that this omen is set in the dream reality. So there are some difficulties in identifying dream omens. What are the sources for dream omens? We have the series Zaqīqu, of course. We have various dream omen compendia, excerpt tablets, and other omen collections where dream omens are cited. As for the sources, specifically, they are all Akkadian. We have no Sumerian dream omens. And the earliest dream omens we find is a collection from Old Babylonian Sippar, most likely, the 16th century BCE. As always, we have some Middle Babylonian, Middle Assyrian material, and we also find dream omen collections in the peripheral areas of Akkadian, for example, in Susa and in Hattusha. The most exciting tablet we now have is this one. This is what I already mentioned. This is the Old Babylonian Dream Omen Compendium. As you can see, it has a BM number, so it's in the British Museum, it's on display, and has now been joined with a large fragment from Geneva. And this is the earliest dream book we actually have, not only in cuneiform sources, but as to my knowledge, we have in whole of human history. So that's pretty exciting. For the first millennium, we have now, as an improvement to Oppenheim, a lot of material from especially the late Babylonian period, most like the Old from Babylon, and of course from Assyria, from Nineveh, Kuyunjik, Nebi Yunus, Kalkmund, Assur. And as you may expect, the largest group of texts comes from Kuyunjik. So let's now continue with the Mesopotamian dream reality. In the Mesopotamian dream reality, we will focus on protagonist dimensions and the alternative reality. We will now start first with the main protagonists in the dream reality. This is, of course, the dreamer himself. But interestingly, we find also other agents that can act in dream omens, and those are the gods, dead people, and the king. And what is even more intriguing, is that there are no status-related differences between these individuals. This can, for example, be observed in the following omen, where there's a differentiation between Dishna and Dishbara-2. So Dishna is a person, a common individual, and the Bara-2 throne is here the king. So if a man or the throne in his dream sleeps with a woman and his hands touches the vulva of the woman, he will be impure. Both contain the same omen and both have the same result. There are also minor protagonists in the Mesopotamian dream reality, and they are limited to certain subject and tablets or chapters of the series Zaqīqu. For example, celestial objects, the sun, the moon, or the stars, they can act in Zaqīqu II. Sexual partners can act so actively and not passively. So, for example, wild animals, the wife and a sister in Zaqīqu V and related tablets. And there is the friend, the tapu. He occurs in Zaqīqu VII and related tablets. And these minor protagonists appear, and this is the hypothesis I now have, appear to only occur in taboo-related actions. For example, if you take a look at the celestial objects, if in a dream a star is urinating upon the dreamer. For the sexual partners, we can give the example. So if in a dream his sister sexually approaches him. And for the friend, if in a dream his friend eats the flesh of his face. Continuing with the dimensions, similar to the waking reality, we find the heavens, the earth, and the netherworld. And the earth, in turn, is differentiated in dream omens between the inhabited world and the uninhabited world. And in turn, there's a certain, and this is only for the series Zaqīqu, there's a certain emphasis on the vertical movement and horizontal movement in dream omens. But I will return to this later. Most fascinating, of course, are the aspects of an alternative reality. In the dream omens, this is displayed, for example, in the possibility of visiting impossible places. For example, one can visit the heavens and do all kinds of things there. Or one can descend to the netherworld and have all kinds of experiences. Furthermore, we also have the reversal or the change of the status quo. This can result, for example, in the following omen, if in his dream he devours the demon Lamashtu. So it's not the demon Lamashtu that devours the patient. No, it's a dreamer that devours Lamashtu himself. In dreams, suddenly deities can get sick. For example, if a deity in his dream suffers from dropsy. And a little bit Kafkaesque are, of course, the metamorphosis dream omens. For example, if in his dream he turns into a lion. Other aspects of alternative reality can be observed in the execution or observation of impossible actions or events. For example, the ability to fly in one's dream, or the stars that are urinating, as I said before, or deities that keep laughing. Very conveniently, the dreamer in the dream reality is liberated from everyday morality. So all acts of violence are possible. For example, killing another being, another person. Disrespecting authorities, no problem. So if, for example, if in his dream he urinates upon a deity. As we've seen before, there are a lot of sexual actions. For example, if in his dream he has sexual intercourse with a corpse. And cannibalism also happens frequently. For example, if in his dream he eats human flesh and all kinds of variations thereof. And the phenomena of coprophagia. For example, if in his dream he eats his own feces. So basically, as you would expect in the Mesopotamian dream reality, anything and everything is possible. To make things even more complicated, what about a dream within a dream? And this is a concept that's not only found in Mesopotamia, but also in other cultures in antiquity. And as for Mesopotamia, they state, so if he saw a dream in a dream and recounted it, also the dream, as much as was favorable or interpretable, it is not to be interpreted for fortune or misfortune. So a dream within a dream doesn't count for dream interpretation. But the ancient Mesopotamians, just for all safety, they have a ritual, of course. So if a man saw a bad dream in his dream, in order that its evil does not reach him, they have an own ritual with ritual actions, just in case. And in Shuma Alu, there is an incipit of a tablet, which is not preserved, but starts with, if a man in his dream brings his dreams to a dream interpreter. So this opens a lot of new possibilities. Now a few words on the so-called Mesopotamian Dreambooks. What books do we have? So first and foremost, we have this Old Babylonian Dream Compendium, as I showed earlier. Then we have the Susa Dream Compendium from the 15th century BCE. Then we have the series Zaqīqu, the 7th century Nineveh, the library of Ashurbanipal. Then we have a large compendium, it's called the Late Babylonian Dream Compendium from Babylon, the 4th century BCE. And then there's a group of Babylonian excerpt duplicates. And of course, there are numerous single keyword compendia from Babylonia and Assyria from the ranging from the 2nd to the 1st millennium. So I would now like to continue with the explanatory strategies found in these dream books and in these dream omens. They can be found along the horizontal axis. This is like line-based. Or we can do this by the vertical axis. And then the explanations of dream omens function by grouping certain omens together over the whole tablet. So let's now first start with the horizontal axis. Here, explanation can be done through wordplays and symbolic association, mainly. Wordplays, you can think of paronomasia, antenaclasis, and lexical transitivity. A good example of paronomasia can be observed in the following example. For example, if in a dream he sexually approaches the buttocks of his colleague, in the assembly of his brothers and his colleagues, he will be important. Here, the first part of the omen, kinatu, buttocks, is linked to the similar sound of kinatu, colleague. As for antenaclasis, we can observe an example here. So if in the dream they give him meat of a pig, it means bad health. Here the meaning uzu, flesh or meat, is linked to the secondary meaning of uzu, health, to the same sign. And lexical transitivity, these are more ingenious forms of wordplays, as you can observe here. If in a dream he seizes a fox, he will seize a tutelary deity, meaning he will have good luck. But how does one come from a fox to a tutelary deity? Well, you have to know that a fox is sheelebu in Akkadian, and a tutelary deity is written with dinger lama, also the signs an and kal, which can in turn be read as she 7 lip 2, resulting again in the sound of sheelebu, fox. Continuing now with the possibility of symbolic association. Here we have the possibilities of dimensional similarity, dimensional antithesis, characteristics, cause and effect, and synecdoche. And I will give you an example of each respectively now. So dimensional similarity can be observed in the following example. So if in a dream a man enters a border district and they are making incursions into the area, for the man, it means they will repeatedly penetrate his wife. As for antithesis, a good example can be seen here. So if in a dream he sexually approaches a dead person, he will go around in good health. This is, of course, a clear opposition between being dead and being very much alive. Simultaneously, we have here also a wordplay going on, because a dead person is mitu, which is here the case, but a synonym of that word is shalamtu, corpse, which is, of course, again, a play with shalmatu. Continuing on an example of symbolic association through characteristics, can be found here. So if in a dream he eats ants, he will keep searching for his property. Here the behavior of ants is transferred to the meaning for the dreamer himself. And an example of cause and effect can be seen here. If in a dream they give him beer, what they say to him, he will forget. Examples for synecdoche are rare, so one may possibly find one here. So if in a dream he brings up clay from the river, it means that he will build a house. So what are the examples for explanatory strategies along the vertical axis? This can be done through pairing opposite images with reversed outcomes and pairing opposite images with parallel outcomes. For example, for the first group, pairing opposite images with reversed outcomes. If in a dream he eats meat he knows, it means peace of mind. If in a dream he eats meat he does not know, no peace of mind. More elaborate example can be found here. So if in a dream he eats the flesh of humans, he will have abundant riches. And if in a dream he eats the flesh of a dead person, somebody will take away his property, no peace of mind. Pairing opposite images with parallel outcomes are quite rare within this corpus. And one of the few examples can be seen here in an example from Nebi Yunus. If in a dream he sees something old, he will reach an old age. And if in a dream he sees something new, he will reach an old age. So they have an identical outcome. Now, a few words on the organizational principles found in dream omens. This can be done through semantic attraction, epidotic attraction, phonological attraction, and acrographical attraction. And as always, combinations can occur. Semantic attraction. This can be done through keywords, so large sections within a tablet. For example, in Zaqīqu II-IX, we find large sections of keywords. So first you find the large section of keywords idinushu, they give him, followed by a large section of imgur, he receives, followed by a large section of itspot, he seizes. All semantically related. But within these keyword sections, within subsections, we can also find semantic attraction in turn. For example, in the cited cuneiform tablet I've mentioned here, we find a section on reed, tablets, and followed by vegetables. And this may seem odd, but vegetables are rendered with sar, and sar has, of course, the ambivalence with the meaning shataru, to write. And then we have, of course, gi, the reed, which is also used for the stylus, the tupu, of course, are tablets, and then we've also a reference to writing indirectly, also by vegetables. And semantic attraction can also occur, of course, within, on the level of individual entries. For example, here in Zaqīqu VII, what do Inip Shade and Inip Azupiri, or the fruit of the mountains and the fruit of the saffron plant, why are they grouped together? This is evidently done based on their logographic values, Gurun Kur and Gurun Hursang Sar. Here, Kur and Hursang are synonyms, are normally rendered synonyms, and that's why these both entries are listed together. Examples for epidotic attractions, attraction can be found, for example, in the Babylonian excerpt duplicates. Here we have two subsections or even two individual entries that are linked together by means of the epidosis, also the latter part of the omen. So if in a dream he enters the temple of his deity and his deity speaks with him, he will be well. That is connected here with If in a dream his deity speaks with him, he will be well. Phonological attraction can again occur within keywords. This is quite rare, to be honest. For example, in Zaqīqu V, one may argue that U5, meaning earcup he mounts, is phonologically connected with itre he sexually approaches. First of all, I have to make clear that earcup here to mount is not in a sexual way, but really as in mounting various animals without any sexual connotation. But of course, they are also grouped together because of semantic attraction, because it can have the possibility of the connotation of mounting one sexually. But it is here in Zaqīqu V very peculiar that the scribe avoids the use of the logogram te for itre, as we know from Shuma'alu, for example, or even from the Babylonian dream omens. So therefore, one may argue that these keyword sections are linked through phonological attraction. On a sign basis, acrographical attraction, one has to look very specifically at the cuneiform tablets themselves. So, for example, here in Zaqīqu VII, or in the picture from Babylonia, here on the right, we have two subsections, Uzu, meat, and 2-7, broth. Again, one may argue they are linked together through semantic attraction, but this also happens on a sign level, if you look at the signs here and here. More difficult, one may wonder, this can also happen on between individual entries. So why does the scribe in Zaqīqu VII list a stinking cucumber, a chair, and a bowl together? This is done by looking at the signs, and we see here that this is done by variations of the sign Shu2 and Lish in the elements on the cuneiform level. More sagely, so more difficult, is the example in the following section, in Zaqīqu IV, where we have various keywords occurring, lami, la ikerub, labish, and chaleb, with one rogue entry. He does not approach, la ikerub, since lami, labish, and chaleb are clearly related here through semantic attraction. So why does the scribe enter here la ikerub? Again, this can be argued from a sign level. If you take a look here, so the la of lami is taken up again in la ikerub, and la ikerub, the sign ker, is again taken up in labish, so in the sign bish, and also in la, of course. And then the signs are again mirrored to a certain extent, resulting in Galib too. Now, a few words on the series Zaqīqu. The series Zaqīqu is called Zaqīqu because it starts with an invocation to the deity Zaqīqu. And Zaqīqu is a dream deity in the Mesopotamian religion. The cuneiform series contains 11 tablets, and tablets 2 to 9 are dream omens, and tablets 1, 10, and 11 comprise dream rituals and therapies. Noteworthy is that the series Zaqīqu uses keywords, visual cognitive markers. And as a series, Zaqīqu is an invention of 7th century Kuyunjik. And one should note it is partially compiled from Babylonian source material. So if we reconstruct now the series Zaqīqu, what do we find thematically? So tablet 2 is concerned with actions and events outside the realm of society. Tablet 3 is concerned with aspects and events in daily life. Tablet 4 is on appearance and behavior, and tablet 5 on physical activity and interaction. Tablet 6 concerns possession and appropriation. Tablet 7 is on ingestion and excretion. Tablet 8 on perception, observation, and apparition. And tablet 9 on travel. And whereas tablet 2 is set outside the realm of society, tablet 3 to 9 are set within the realm of society. And whereas whereas tablet 2 is concerned or has a certain emphasis on vertical movement, tablet 9 has an emphasis on horizontal movement. And as such, the dream omen tablets within the series Zaqīqu can be seen as a kind of ring composition. Now, continuing on the position of dream omens within the corpus of other divinatory texts in Mesopotamia. So we have terrestrial signs, we have celestial signs, we have omens regarding illness and health, and of course on appearance and behavior. So we have focused now on the dream omens, so oneiromancy in the series Zaqīqu. But how does this series reflect with the other divinatory series? Basically, as you have heard before, a lot of aspects of these series are repeated in the series Zaqīqu. So whereas the series Zaqīqu is set in the dream world, the other series, omen series, are of course set in reality. And this brings us to a notorious assumption by astrologists that dream omens are opposite in meaning vis-a-vis other omen series. But is this actually true? And why do we have this notion? Well, for example, we have dream omens that sound like this. So if in a dream he eats human flesh, he will have abundant riches. We know that cannibalism is not a normal thing in Mesopotamia and certainly a taboo issue. So why is it rewarded in the dream omens? In order to determine whether dream omens are opposite in meaning regarding other omen series, we have to take a different look at the material. We have to take a look, for example, between the terrestrial signs found in Shuma'alu and in the dream omens in Zaqīqu. So ideally, we would find the same image set in reality and the same image set in the dream world, and then take a look whether they have an opposite meaning in their outcome, in the apodosis. And this we can actually do. So let's take a look. So in Shuma'alu, we find the omen, if a man sexually approaches the buttocks of his colleague, that man will reach the highest rank among his brothers and colleagues. And as you may have remembered from before, we have almost identical omen set in the dream world. If in a dream he sexually approaches the buttocks of his colleague, in the assembly of his brothers and his colleagues, he will be important. So what does this say about this earlier statement? There is no mirroring per se between the omens in Zaqīqu and in the dream world and those set in reality. For all the examples that I've collected, the shared images between reality omen series shared with the dream world, there's no opposition between positive or negative. Some are quite similar, some are simply different, but never in the opposite way. Now a few words on Mesopotamian dream interpretation, very quickly. I will take a quick look at the dream interpreters, the institutions, and the cooperation with other professions, and of course the clients. So the dream interpreters can be divided into specialists and laypersons, whereas the specialists we can find, for example, the Zaqīqu VIII, the NC, the Sha'ilu II, the Pashir Shunati, Mupashir Shunati, and the Shabaru. The laypersons can be can be simply divided between the women in the immediate family and other persons. And to be honest, other persons actually only Enkidu to my knowledge. So let's take a look at the women in the immediate family. These are mostly the mother, the sister, and the daughter of a person. This is found in literary texts, for example, in the Muzi's dream, where the Muzi wants wants his sister to explain his dream to him, very famously, and of course in Gudea's cylinder, where Gudea will take his dream to his mother. And last but not least, we have Gilgamesh, who famously reveals his dream to his mother for explanation. And as you can see here, so Gilgamesh rose to reveal a dream, saying to his mother, "Oh mother, the dream that I saw last night." And then he recounts the dream. And thereafter it continues, the mother of Gilgamesh was very clever, she was wise, she knew everything, she said to her son. This repeats again what we have seen in the Muzi's dream, that the woman in the immediate family is regarded as clever, as wise, as someone who knows, someone who's all-knowing regarding dreams. But not only on literary texts we find this image, also in the Mari correspondence. In the correspondence of Zimri-Lim, it's the mother, the wife, and the daughter of Zimri-Lim who are responsible in the correspondence on dream interpretation. A few specific words on the experts, also the specialists themselves. Noteworthy is that the Sha'ilu, or the Sha'iltu, in the second millennium are mostly women again. For example, in this Old Assyrian letter, we find a passage. So the maidens of Puzu Ishtar and Utsu Ashur were sick and dying. We went to the dream interpreters, so female, and the deity was as follows: do not wait with votive offerings. So it's not only remarkable that the dream interpreters are female, the we are also female. So the clients are female and the dream interpreters are female. And this saying, do not wait with votive offerings, is also striking, because this sounds suspiciously like an apodosis, like a result of a dream omen. For example, as you can see here in Zaqīqu III. So if in a dream he acts as a sailor, and will raise a claim against him concerning a votive offering. Regarding institutions, we cannot say very much on dream interpretation. So we know there are some links with the Temple of Nashe in the Lagos region in the 3rd millennium. And there is this Beit Sha'ilatim, so the house of the female dream interpreters, set in 2nd millennium daily life texts, and occurs rarely in the 1st millennium in literary context. So let's take a look in the 2nd millennium. So subsequently, we went to the house of the dream interpreters, again, female clients visiting female dream interpreters, and they were as follows. It is not the hand of Ishtar, it's not the hand of deity this and that, it's not the hand of Igala, it's not the hand of deity this and that. So here we have a group of female interpreters. We are not sure if this was always the case, like a grouped institution. We also have one reference to a house of a dream interpreter by name, like here. So regarding the house of Umi Wakrat, the dream interpreter, nobody's to lay claim on it, that house and bricks I have purchased. So apparently dream interpreters could also live alone. Returning to the previous example, here, again, what these female dream interpreters are saying does not sound like regular speech. This phrase, it is not the hand of Ishtar, it's not the hand of deity, this and that, etc., sounds again very suspiciously like the result of a dream omen. And the hand of Ishtar is not very well tested in divinatory corpora, but is actually known again from Zaqīqu. For example, here, if in a dream he bathes himself in his urine and wipes himself, it means the hand of Ishtar, a certain disease. A few words on the cooperation with other professions. Here we mainly see the seer, also the baru, and the ritualist, the ashipu, the physician, the asu. And if we want to make a note of it, there is also one reference that one may speculate that is related to necromancy, where the seer is related to prognosis with dream interpretation. The incantation priest and the physician come into question regarding therapy. A few words on the seer. This one occurs frequently with the dream interpreter. For example, here, about a matter concerning which you wrote to me as follows: apart from your not writing, my sign portends ill for me. For your sake, I will now go to the diviner and the dream interpreter. And also in the royal correspondence at Mari, we find Yasim Dagan's dream, and the dream is serious and is raising concern. I had an extispicy of his dream done, and his dream was indeed meaningful. Let the diviners come and have an extispicy done so that my lord can give orders to guard the strongholds. So why does extispicy, why is the seer necessary regarding dream divination, dream interpretation? This has to do with the verification of dreams. As I said at the start of my presentation, we all know dreams are volatile. We easily forget them, which brings again a certain uncertainty with them. So one needs to determine basically, is it correct that a dream has prognostic value? And is it correct that the dream is positive or that it is negative? This can be done not only by extispicy, but also by means of birds, so ornithomancy, and also by means of acoustic divination, here called cladomancy. An example for extispicy verification of dream interpretation can be found here in an observation of the liver. So if the tip on the right side is covered with red spots, the dreams of the king are true. And if it is dark, his dreams are false. As for means by bird divination, we find here the following dream image, like a certain Zaqīqu woman and a certain married woman were quarreling in the gate of Anonitum of outside the wall. And the Zaqīqu woman said thus to the married woman, "Give back to me my utensils. Either you live here or I live here." And then we find the phrase, "I investigated her case with partridges, and the dream was indeed meaningful." An example for acoustic divination can be seen here in a Neo-Assyrian letter. When the king, my lord, was in Tarbitsu, I wrote to the king, my lord, a favorable dream concerning the charge to Elyze cult has been seen. I've heard it, Egeru, now he's doing very well. A funny example of acoustic divination regarding dream interpretation can be found in a dream ritual. So if one has a bad dream or thinks that he had a bad prognostic dream, one can cheat himself out of it by doing the following thing. So if a man has a bad dream, even before he sets foot on the ground, he will say to himself on an empty stomach, "The dream I have seen is favorable before sin and shamash. It is favorable, it is favorable, it is favorable." So he will say to himself and make the Egeru, so the acoustic sign, favorable for himself, and the evil of his dream will not reach him. As for clients, a few words. These can be divided between the king and private persons. As I've showed in the previous example, we have the standard phrase and the phrase of the royal omens and Shuma Alu, for example. And also regarding the outcome and implications, they can be divided between the private domain and the public domain. And whereas the private domain is continued in the second and first millennium, the public domain is quite extensively found in the second millennium, but is almost omitted in the first millennium in the apodosis, also in the results of the dream omens. The second millennium likes to make a clear differentiation between the results of the public domain and the private domain, even within the same apodosis. So, for example, here, if in a dream he either sees the moon or the sun or a star, the country will experience that its deities will leave, but the dreamer will experience disaster. A few words on the textual genres. Here we have to make a quick differentiation between hypothetical dreams, fictive dreams, and factual dreams. Hypothetical dreams are, of course, found in dream omens. Fictive dreams are found in literary texts, royal inscriptions, and factual dreams are found in letters and dream reports. Fictive dreams are a little bit tricky. For example, in literary texts, because here they serve a stylistic purpose. So they can be used for an advancement strategy or encouragement, or they can forebode death. In royal inscriptions, symbolic dreams are used as a stylistic device denoting military success, submission and loyalty, construction and renovation of cultic institutions, and very conveniently, the legitimation of kingship. So if you want to make a link between the dream omens and other text genres, literary text and royal inscriptions are at first out of the question. But can we find a link, for example, with incantations and rituals? Yes, so remembering this reconstruction I've earlier presented on the series Zaqīqu, we now can take a quick look at an incantation on the first millennium, a dream incantation. The eve of a dream which I repeatedly saw during the first watch, the middle watch, or the third watch of the night, in which I saw my dead father, or in which I saw my dead mother, or in which I saw a deity, or in which I saw the king, or in which I saw an important person, or in which I saw a prince, etc. The seeing part refers directly back to the keyword Emer he saw, known for Zaqīqu VIII. Going to a foreign country as a typical feature of going is a keyword of tablet 9. Eating, for example, unknown bread and the likes, is a keyword of tablet 7. And to be dressed is a direct keyword, of course, in Zaqīqu IV. So yes, one can argue there are direct relations between incantations, rituals, and the dream omens. This can only be done through abstract images. More difficult are the relations, for example, between the dream omens and the letters and dream reports. For example, this famous Mari letter, "To my lord speak, your servant Adoduri says, since the destruction of the house of your father, I never saw such a dream. These were my signs from before. I entered the temple of Belitekalem in my dream, and Belitekalem was not sitting there, and the statues that are before her were not there, and I saw it and started weeping." Knowing the dream omens from Mesopotamia and the new reconstructions, one directly sees the following phrase: "I entered the temple of Belitekalem." Entering a temple, or entering, is a keyword of Zaqīqu III, where we also find a large section on entering various temples. So yes, interrelations between dream omens and other textual genres are possible, but we have to do this carefully. I would now, my time is already up, I think. I will now close with a few concluding remarks. Yes, as I said at the beginning, and I do not have much time left, what about other oneirocritic traditions in antiquity? Having now a full scope of the dream divination literature in Mesopotamia, can we compare that with other traditions? For example, the oneirocritica of Artemidor, or the Chester papyri of ancient Egypt, and the Demotic Dreambooks, or the Babylonian Talmud. Or, for example, with the Bible. I think everybody knows the book of Daniel, where the Babylonian king, Nebuchadnezzar II, has various dreams, and these dreams are explained by Daniel in turn. These are questions that can fill an entire lecture series on their own, but it is certainly possible. One interesting remark I would like to make at the end. For example, the second dream in Daniel 4, where Nebuchadnezzar sees a big tree. We all know this famous painting by William Blake. This is the result of the dream that comes true. Daniel predicts that seeing that tree and everything that happens with the tree results in the following. So, King Nebuchadnezzar, you will be forced to go away from people. You will live among the wild animals, you will eat grass like cattle, and you will become wet with dew. 7 seasons will pass, and then you will learn this lesson. Even if this is the result of a dream, this in turn sounds like a dream image, and especially a very Babylonian one. In the Akkadian dream book from Susa, we find these dream images. So if in a dream a man eats grass with oxes, or if in a dream a man changes into an ox and eats grass with oxes. So there are certain interrelations going on with other oneirocritic traditions in Antiquity, but I hope to do this for a future project and will not discuss this here in full extent. As I started my lecture with the ambivalence of dreams, with the famous quote of the Luca-Banda epic, I would like to end with the notion of Mesopotamians themselves regarding this ambivalence with these dream omens. We actually find this phrase in a morality canon, and also after various Mesopotamian dream omens, we find this phrase: if he interprets his dream according to the wording of a tablet, he will not be happy. So the Mesopotamians were very much aware that dreams and the meaning of their dreams cannot always have the outcome you may wish for. And with this, I would like to end my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.